With at least 68 main continuity Iron Man suits in the Marvel Universe, it's no surprise that there are a lot we wouldn't remember off the top of our heads. The earlier iterations would likely be a little worse for wear when it comes to technological advancements, but hey, that doesn't mean that they're not up there in terms of strength. What is going on, all you nerdy folk out there? My name is Jack, welcome back to Top 10 Nerd, and thank you so much for tuning into part 2 of our Top 10 Strongest Iron Man Suits list. Now, if you haven't checked out part 1, I highly recommend you do so just so you can get caught up to speed on who we've already talked about. It can be found on our Top 10 Marvel playlist or just as easily under videos on our channel. You definitely already guessed it, but today we're going to be taking a look at some more of the strongest suits that Tony Stark has ever created, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Number 10, Mark 66. Trapped and alone in 1 million BC, we see our Tony Stark of Earth 616 forced to build a new suit from the materials around him in order to survive. Dubbed the Ice Armor, Mark 66 is powered by some vibranium batteries that he was able to salvage from the Extremis armor, however it isn't capable of a whole lot considering how low tech it is. The armor seemed to only have very basic offensive capabilities, firing icicles from a wrist cannon. It was capable of repulsor blasters as well, but the more vibranium power the armor used, the more it melted because, you know, it's made of ice. As for defensive capabilities, the armor actually did a decent job because it allowed Tony to survive going toe-to-toe with Mephisto, but was quickly melted as a result of firing a massive energy blast to use the Time Stone. Take a look at this icy armor for yourself in 2020's Avengers Volume 8, number 31. Number 9, Bio Armor Mark 1. Hailing from Earth 55,921 comes a Tony Stark with a bit of an interesting twist. Maria Stark got bit by a monkey when she was pregnant with Tony and contracted a regenerative virus that mutated Tony's body in a pretty terrible way. His body grew some additional neural tissue throughout his body, meaning that his entire body was treated like a brain. So he was incredibly smart, but in constant pain due to overstimulation. Upon his birth, his dad coated his skin in a bacterial bioarmor in order to protect his skin. Fast forward a little bit, we see Tony working on his own versions of the Iron Man technology, and he became the Tony Stark that we all know and love. Besides the, whole my body is a brain thing. Aside from just being a shield for Tony's chronic pain, the suit is also capable of flight, repulsor blasters, has a thought scrambler that can temporarily shut down all mental functions, and can even cut off superpowered beings from using their powers. This suit does actually have its limitations though, as it feeds directly off its user, which doesn't really matter too much for Tony, since his entire body regenerates. But if anyone else used it, they would be in some serious trouble. Check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2005's Ultimate Iron Man number 1. Number 8, Overload Armor. Appearing in the What If Marvel series, we have a Tony Stark of Earth 64,894 and his Overload Armor. After his first suit proved to be pretty much a success, Tony decided to patent his new technology and sell it off to the world. But this proved to be a bit of a problem because it created this huge arms race between governments and effectively ended the Age of Heroes, since naturally powered heroes couldn't keep up with the new tech enhanced ones. Because of this, Tony became a bit of a loner and sealed himself off because he feared that he would get hurt or even killed for the outcome of his actions, but he never stopped working on new tech just to stay ahead of the game. This is where the Overload Armor came into play, a massive suit that Tony used to absorb all of Magneto's magnetic powers, causing the suit to explode and envelop the planet in an energy wave that would render all of his tech useless, sending the world back into the Dark Age. After fighting with Magneto and his acolytes, Tony made up for his sins by not only taking down the villains, but also by forcing the world, in a very nice way, to use their funds for less harmful technology. Check out this suit for yourself, starting with 1994's What If Volume 2, number 64. Number 7, Anti-Transformer Armor. Coming to us from Earth 7642, the crossover Earth that gave us some great stories like Hulk vs. Superman, Uncanny X-Men vs. Teen Titans, and of course, New Avengers and Transformers. Made out of carbonite nanotube transistors and powered by 15 amperes, this armor was created when Tony heard some rumors that giant alien robots, i.e. the Transformers, were hiding out on Earth. It was Transformer sized and made specifically for combat with them. But the armor wasn't fully combat ready at the time it saw action though. It had severe energy management issues. Specifically, it was extremely energy intensive and ran low on power very quickly. Additionally, it was also prone to overload if power was supplied from an outside source. Nevertheless though, it served Iron Man well in his confrontation with the Decepticons, but was ultimately beheaded by Megatron, and Iron Man then exited the oversized suit and continued combat in his Extremis armor. Funnily enough, after the battle was over, Tony thought about what improvements he could make for another anti-transformer suit, planning to make it even bigger than the last. Check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2007's New Avengers / Transformers, number 2. Number 6, Mark 45 Deep Space Armor. For a brief period of time, Stark traveled out into space to work with the Guardians of the Galaxy in hopes of understanding what was happening in the cosmos just a little bit better. In order to do so, he needed to create a suit that not only allowed him to survive the harshness of space, but also allowed him to move around with ease. The deep space armor that he created is absolutely incredible, as it's capable of traveling at warp speed for interplanetary travel, featured upgraded versions of all its normal weapons, and came equipped with an armor extension similar to the Hulkbuster armor known as the Saturn V armor, specifically designed for landing on harsher planets. The suit also came equipped with the upgraded Pepper AI system, which was capable of taking over the suit in case of emergencies, and it had the Stark Omniversal multitasking software installed in it, meaning that Tony could control all of the suits on Earth from light years away. This suit is one of the most adaptable models Tony has ever created, and I highly recommend you check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2013's Iron Man Volume 5, Number 5. Number 5. Mark 48 Cold Iron Armor. Another suit coming from the mind of Tony Stark of Earth 616 is the Cold Iron Armor, formerly known as Mark 48. It was first used by him after a stealth mission gone wrong, and Stark found himself in need of some reinforcement. At first glance, it doesn't look all that powerful in the conventional sense, but that's because it's specifically designed for the interaction with the magic realm rather than the human realm. What was otherwise a regular Iron Man suit was altered with the help of the magician Siobhan Haldane, who basically created something to help Stark survive in the world of the Dark Elves. The suit itself is made of cold metal, so just touching it weakens the Dark Elves, and it can also fire weapons made of that same iron, allowing the armored Avenger to live up to his name just a little bit more, while being effective against the things that have a weakness to that material. All in all, this makes him deadly enough for the elves, who normally, for mortals, are a big threat, and that is why this suit is on our list today. Check it out for yourself in 2014's Iron Man Volume 5, Number 24. Number 4. Mark 29 Extremis. Yep, that is right, I'm actually talking about the Extremis armor this time. In an attempt to take down the Extremis-powered Malin, Tony did the only logical thing he could think of. Inject himself with a modified dose of Extremis to heal his injuries and allow him to pilot a suit that he'd been working on that was a bit tougher and a lot lighter than anything else he had built before. The modified dose allowed the crucial undersheath of the Iron Man suit to be super compressed and stored in the hollows of Tony's bones. The undersheath became directly wired to Tony's brain, which allowed him to control the new Iron Man armor with thought and even interface with other technologies. As one of Tony's more famous and recognizable suits, you probably already know a bit about it and what it's capable of, but I'm gonna give you the rundown anyways. This suit was capable of regeneration for both the suit and its wearers, could be piloted remotely, allowed Tony to access pretty much any form of technology, could time travel, and was pretty adaptable as the neural net would not only protect the wearer from superpowered attacks, but could also simulate them. Also, can't forget that it came equipped with the standard unibeam, pulse bolts, and flight ability as well. Why not check it out for yourself, starting with 2005's Iron Man Volume 4, Number 4. Number 3. Mark 38 Uru Armor. Making his debut in the Fear Itself storyline, the Uru armor, also known as the Iron Destroyer, was an enchanted bleeding edge armor that was based off the Destroyer, enhanced with Asgardian magic, and covered in Asgardian Uru metal. During the War of the Serpent, Odin Borson let Stark have access to the forges and created an arsenal of Uru weapons to combat the enemy forces raising the Earth. In order to acquire his own enhancements, Tony merged the systems of the bleeding edge armor with Uru, turning it into the Iron Destroyer until the end of the battle. This specific suit's capabilities are not entirely known, but since it is an improvement on the bleeding edge armor, then we can only assume it still has all the capabilities of that suit, such as regeneration, that whole energy blade and deflector shields thing, and of course, the normal weaponry that you would expect. Now, just imagine all of that, coupled with the almighty power of Asgardian magic and a near indestructible metal. That would make for one ridiculously OP suit. So why not check it out for yourself in 2011's Fear Itself Number 7, and let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Number 2. Mark 68. Now, if you're not familiar with the more recent Iron Man storyline, don't worry, I will not spoil too much of it for you, but just in case you don't want to know anything about it, you might want to skip ahead a little bit. After Tony finally realized he was the real Tony Stark, it's weird, I know, but it makes sense in context, trust me, he started working on this specific suit using all the virtual resources available to him. What sets this suit apart from his other suits is that it's not actually made of metal or any matter at all. This suit is composed of solid holograms from the E-scape. This allows Tony to create any weapon he could possibly think of, including repulsor beams and unibeams. The armor also augments Tony's strength to the point where he could easily rip apart the armor of his brother Arno. Now defensively, the armor can protect against any standard weapons like missiles and unconventional ones like repulsor beams as well. I think the best way to sum up the suit is with a quote from Tony Stark himself. "Come on, Arno, still making armor out of metal? How very 2020. I'm a futurist. My new suit's made of an entire world, the E-scape. Solid hologram, virtual armor, it's only my limit. My imagination." Take a look at this armor for yourself, starting with 2020's Iron Man 2020, Volume 2, Number 5. And Number 1, ZIRAN armor. Making its debut in What If Newer Fantastic Four, a new iteration of the Fantastic Four was introduced to us made up of Iron Man, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and the Hulk. This iteration goes up against Thanos as they are apparently the best chance at taking him down, and they do actually succeed with Wolverine cutting off his arm. But anyways, I'm gonna focus on the ZIRAN suit now. When ZIRAN, the tester of the Celestials, was murdered by Thanos via the use of the Infinity Gauntlet, the newer Fantastic Four brought ZIRAN's arm through their modified negative zone portal where Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, who had been permanently separated from the Hulk at the time, could study it properly. After learning that the Celestials controlled their armor via sheer willpower and thought alone, Tony managed to adjust the armor to respond to human thought, and linked it to the negative zone using Mr. Fantastic's technology, and then took control of the armor and made it his own. The actual capabilities of this suit are not fully known, but with the vast cosmic powers it should possess, the armor is able to withstand planet-shattering impacts with ease, and the armor is able to withstand strikes from nuclear warheads, and it's said to even be more powerful than some of the Celestials out there. And not to mention, it's said to be even more powerful than the God Killer Mark II. If you've got any more info on this suit, please let me know in the comments below. I am honestly in love with it and would love to know some more. For now though, check it out for yourself in 2009's What If Newer Fantastic Four. That'll be it for this video, everyone. If I still missed one of your favorite Iron Man suits that you think is incredibly strong, let me know in the comments below and maybe we will throw together a part 3 for y'all. If you haven't already, subscribe to Top 10 Nerd to stay up to date on all things nerdy, and while you're at it, why not ring that notification bell so you know whenever we upload a video. As always, my name is Jack, thank you all so much for watching, and make sure to stay nerdy, my friends.